What's up, y'all? It's your girl Raven with the Real in the Raw, and I have my guest speaker today, Mr. Devon, the Village of 337. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I finally get to meet you. I follow you on Facebook. I love everything about you. I just love your energy, how you're involved in our community, and just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you're from, how old are you, and what you got going on.
Okay. Well, thank you first of all for having me. I've been following you as well, and I'm definitely inspired by what you're doing. I tell anybody. I was just on a podcast yesterday, and I'm like, man, look. First, I've tried to do this, and it's difficult. So, I
Right.
commend you for doing what you're doing, and stay committed to doing it, and creating that platform and that space for people like us and young people to tell their stories and to have that platform. So, I'm definitely praying for your success. But my name is
Thank
Devon
you.
Norman. You're welcome. I'm an activist here in Lafayette. I'm born and raised here in Lafayette. I'm a Norman, but my families are the Jones, the Bernards. A lot of people, of course, know that I'm related to the Broussards. Brandon Broussard, who was the boxer, is my first cousin. His mom is
Okay.
my mom's sister. Yes, and I'm also related to the Ladays, the Bens, and all of them. So like that's all of my family. That's who
Right.
I am blood wise. I'm born and raised Lafayette. I went to J.W. Falk Elementary. I went to NP Moss Middle School when it was NP Moss Middle School before it was David
Right.
Thibodeau Tech. I was actually part of that class that they removed from the school whenever they said that there was mold in the school. We all know that that was a big political issue that happened with that. So
Yes.
when they split us up, I was part of that class. That year, I actually we did a play called "I Have a Dream," and it was about the life of Dr. Martin Luther King. And ironically enough, I played Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in that play. Um,
Wow.
Believe it or not, I was extremely shy before my mama forced me into going into drama class in middle school. And my
Right.
drama teacher, Miss Miss Jennifer Frank, she is an amazing inspiration in my life. Her and Mr. Augustus, who was our social studies teacher at that time, they really taught us about our blackness and about who we were and about how to be proud of who we were and the history that most, I'm sure, other schools at that time, middle schools specifically, were not getting that information. So I was lucky to go to a black middle and elementary school. But
Right.
then life changed. Of course, me being in drama, I wanted to explore that side of myself, and so I applied for the Performing Arts Academy for Lafayette High, and of course got in and through theater. And then midway through that, I added choir. So I did theater and choir in the Lafayette High Performing Arts Academy, graduated. We traveled, went to the Festival of Goals competition in Orchestra Hall. So I've competed nationally with singing, have acted in several plays and productions as of recently, the Juneteenth production. And now I'm back on the stage. So that's just a little bit of, I know a lot of times people are like, well, where did he come from? Who is he? I'm from
Right.
here. I've just been
Right.
soaking it all in. And a lot of people also know my uncle is, of course, Christopher Unity Bernard. That's my godfather. So,
Yes.
when he started off with Man Up and all of those organizations, I was just so intrigued by how effective he was in
Hmm.
engaging the community and how he was involved in. At that time, I was singing at all the balloon releases and stuff that they were having at the time. But
Right.
who would have ever known that I'd be at this point. And now it's in Gethsemane Church.
That is awesome. So I am Yanka. Yanka and I are good friends.
Yes,
That's my dog. I love Yanka. So I know you come from great family. The
thank you.
Bens, the Broussards. Yeah, y'all have a great family. So
Thank you.
listen, like I said, you have been doing so much in the community. I want to thank you myself because
Wow.
listen, it's hard because it's hard to get support. It's hard just to try
Hmm.
to get somebody to hear your voice, but you're not stopping, you're not giving up. And as a young Black man, you're also not a statistic as well.
Yeah,
So, that's big. Shout out to your parents.
thank
Shout
you.
out to your family because listen, we are losing our boys, our black men, and
Yeah.
you're not one that's in the streets like that. So I definitely want to thank you so much for that. I know we wanted to bring up a topic about voting. Voting is
Hmm.
coming up November, right? Election. I know my girl Narika Ross. I know you work with her though, right? You guys work together, right?
Yeah, so Narika, from the beginning when we were first engaged in just activism altogether, Narika came and supported. I'll never forget. She brought water and pizza to the very first, and that's just also how the Village 337. I didn't mention that part. Got started.
Mm-hmm.
The organization that I run is a civil rights organization, and when Trayford Pellerin was killed by the Lafayette Police Department, that's how we were birthed. Well, Narika was one of those people who, even though she, because later on her niche, so to speak, would blossom. But Narika definitely at that time, even before then, supported that cause, however she
Right,
could, and
right.
that's the type of person that I definitely would support, and I support her in her endeavors. As an organization, we can't endorse any political candidate, but what I will tell the people is that as we engage politics, I think that it's important that we have somebody that's representative of us. And when I
Exactly.
say us, I don't mean just black people. I
Right.
mean young people. And
Yes.
so, and if we, it's going to be a challenge to be able to make history this
Right.
year.
Right.
But I believe that we definitely can do that.
Yes. I met her one time. Not really met. Well, she inboxed me a couple of times, but I've I've gone to a city council meeting about like the jail being wanting to be built
Yes.
on Willow, and
Yes.
I was one that wasn't big for that as well, because at the end of the day, our kids don't need a jail on the north side of town.
Mm-mm.
You're just giving them a place to lay their head. They have that
Right.
already. We have that. We have homes for our babies. We don't need that. You know what I'm saying? So I was when when she was up there, she was voicing her opinion, and I was like, and they was like, ma'am, and she just kept going off, and I'm like, ooh, that's my girl. Like,
Yes.
yeah. So I love her because she's another one so young and just fighting for us. Like, you
Yes.
don't see that. You don't see that as in our age, in our generation. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely backing for her as well.
Yes.
My thing is about when it comes to voting, a lot of people feel like it's not important. Only
Hmm.
because it's like, man, I voted in, the person still in win. So it's like my vote
Right.
don't count. What I have to why am I going in there? So can you give us, some information on how to feel different, or what can make us
Right.
feel different about that?
Certainly. So I think the biggest thing that we have to look at, let's be real. All right. We are the realest generation I know.
Yes.
Let's think about this practically like we would do in the streets. Okay.
Right.
If somebody is telling you who got everything that you don't need to do this one thing that they do
Mm-hmm.
because it don't count,
Right.
why would you not do it? And why would you believe that and then perpetuate that into your community and say my vote don't count? Well, if your
Right.
vote don't count, then why would they go and vote?
Mm-hmm.
If it
Mm-hmm.
didn't count, they wouldn't need to vote because
Exactly.
then your vote didn't count anyway. So whoever they wanted to win would win.
We're
The
gonna put
problem
them
is,
there.
that's right. The problem
Mm-hmm.
is we perpetuate that and we say that, but how many times do we vote locally? Because that's where
Mm-hmm.
it's really effective, right? That's where it really matters. How many
Mm-hmm.
times do we take the time to say, well, let me see what's going on in the city council? Let me see what judges are being elected. Because you know what? If I get engaged in something, not putting there, not saying that I'm going to commit a crime, but if I just so happen to find myself in a situation where I have to go
Right.
before a judge, I would feel really bad if I didn't actually vote because I got in front of a
Mm-hmm.
judge that really didn't mean nothing. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So like, or that didn't care about the actual outcome or the effect that this outcome would have on your life. So I think that it's incumbent upon us to really see that there is a plan put in
Mm-hmm.
place for us by the system to literally deter us from voting.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we
Mm-hmm.
do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the new Jim Crow basically was established to say that essentially we would implode on ourselves, right? Like we would enslave ourselves
Right.
because we would just do things like we would learn these behaviors that, and that's why when people, I get so cringe, like when people of different generations talk about young people, right? Because they talk about it from this place of ignorance. And I'm gonna just call it
Exactly.
what it is, because all
Exactly.
ignorance is a lack of knowledge. And so they talk about it from this place of ignorance, not understanding the real effects of systemic racism
Mm-hmm.
and enslavement and intergenerational trauma and curses being placed on our people. And so I think
Right.
that the first place to start with changing that is the voting poll. Like and registering to vote, right? Educating yourself about the issues and then making the right choice. Because
Mm-hmm.
right now, if you look at what's happening in Lafayette, and I'm going to talk about the city of Lafayette because that's where
Mm-hmm.
we at. And if you look
Right.
at what's happening in Lafayette, there's a political arena that's being built up that's really about to be very sloppy. And
Mm-hmm.
our young people are engaged in whatever stuff we got going on in our lives, not realizing that the people that are being placed in these offices. I'm sorry, I'm getting a call at me.
I
Indeed.
know you good.
Okay. But not realizing that the people that are being placed in these offices are really not concerned about your life. They're concerned
Exactly.
about their political power and their
Yep.
gain. So my thing is, look at the people who have put their feet to the pavement in the last 4 years. I'm not concerned about 20 years ago. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
concerned about 30 years ago, to the extent in which we're talking about an individual. Because, of course, you have to look at history, right? And you have
Mm-hmm.
to say, okay, well, what worked
Right.
and what didn't work. But what I'm concerned about is a person
Mm-hmm.
that's willing to put their life on the line for their cause.
Right. Right. And I'm with you like 100% because I feel like, listen, when it's time to vote, or you gonna see everybody out and about. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
right now, I feel it's like it's the most important. Like this is the time you should be out.
Right.
And you should be knocking on doors. And I stay in Carrick. I never met nobody. Nobody comes in my neighborhood, and I feel like I don't care if you in this precinct. This you gonna know me because I'm fixing to be on this in this. You know, I'm gonna be here. So at the end
Yeah,
of the day, you gonna know me rather I'm in your precinct or not. I'm still
that's
gonna
right.
make you know who I am. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And I feel like, when it comes to the school systems and the school district, who you're voting for, that's important because that's our baby's future.
Can I
That's
say
their
something?
future. So, yes,
I want to tell Black people, go put your kids in a Black school that's
yeah,
owned and ran by Black people.
yeah.
We are in a
Listen,
crisis right now. We are in a crisis right now. Critical race
I
theory is being taken
had,
out of our. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, you good.
Okay. So yeah, critical race theory is being taken out of our schools left and right. So
Mhm,
we know that that's coming to Louisiana. We know that that's coming to Lafayette. We
mhm,
know what type of government we have. We've seen what type of system that we are. Go put your kids in a Black school. Find one,
mhm.
and put them. It's critical. It's important
Yeah,
because they are taking our kids, and the prison to the school to prison pipeline is fatter than it's ever been.
exactly. Exactly. Listen, I had a situation this past school year, and I had to take I like I told the lady at the school board, the director, like I can no longer deal with LPSS. So my kids, they're not going to that school. I've been trying to get them into Holy Family, LRCH. Like I just feel like, and then when you put them there, or you're saying that your kids is going there, you know, you hear bad things. Oh, they're not going to learn that and all this and that. But at the end of the day, the
Mm-hmm.
truth is the truth and honesty is they're not learning nothing else PSS as well. So at this point, what's the difference? It's
That's
not
right.
a difference. You know what I'm
That's right.
saying? And you don't know nothing. You don't know until you actually try and put yourself there and put your kids. You can tell me this and that, but listen, I need to see that for myself because
That's
my
right.
kids might learn differently than your kids. You know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? But listen, when I tell you like the school system is like they are failing our kids. I feel like
Hmm.
they when they go to lunch, they want your kids to sit there. I remember when I went to lunch, we could have talked and do everything. They treating our kids as prisoners. So
Hmm.
basically, y'all might as well start giving them children their doctor numbers now. You
It's
know what I'm
conditioning.
saying?
It's
Yes.
conditioning.
Yeah.
Our young people are being
Yes.
conditioned, and that's why when we see what we see in the streets and we talk about these young people are out of control. No, they're not. They're not out of
Mm-hmm.
control. They're in
Mm-hmm.
control. And the
Right.
reality of it is, what we have to look back at is that we didn't have guns on the streets like we did in the 90s, like we do now. Not because people didn't want guns on the streets
Exactly.
like that, or not because they didn't want to have them. It's only because you didn't have mass production of weapons like you do now. It's only because
Exactly.
the NRA is getting stronger, and you got the Republican Party, which is pushing to make guns more accessible to anybody. I mean, we know
Right.
who they're trying to give them to, but then when you make a
Yep.
law, it got to be accessible to everybody, right? So there are more guns on the street, and so of course you're going to have more killings. But let's
Mm-hmm.
be real, the mentality is still the same. That
Exactly.
behavior was learned. And if we don't go back and start addressing, like I said, those generational curses and that trauma, look, the major thing about it is we have to start making sure that when we go and address these politicians, when they're coming into your churches, when they come into your barbecues, when they come into your fun day Fridays like we have it tomorrow, when
Mm-hmm.
they come into all of these events that are taking place, you have to be asking them, what are you going to do about the economic disparities that Black people are facing on the north side of Lafayette? What are you going to
Uh-huh.
do about the misappropriation or the taxation without representation that's happening with the charter, the way the charter is, where you have the parish of Lafayette being taken care of out of the taxpayers' dollars out of the city of Lafayette? Why? Because
Right.
we have a mayor parish president. So that means that he has the ability to allocate funds to other cities within, and no offense to nobody who lives outside of the city of Lafayette, but think
Right.
about it. Y'all all individually have, there's a mayor of Carencro. There's a
Uh-huh.
mayor of all of these other cities. What does Lafayette have? The parish president, the
Nothing.
same one that
That's it.
everybody else has.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because he needs to be, come on now, so we have to be able to, and then because here's where we have to be careful at. All of these other cities must think, okay, well, if what happens if my city grows to be a big city?
Mm-hmm.
How will the charter work for me?
Right.
Will it always work this way? We got to
Right.
start thinking about policies and how it's going to affect our families 20 years from now, because that at that point, that's when we're going to be putting our kids in college.
Exactly. Exactly. And my biggest fear is that listen, the north side is not even gonna be up here in 20 years. If you the way everything is being taken away from us, everything is being shut down. You're
It's going to be
feeling
here. It's going to
everything
be
on the
real
south
white.
side. Yeah, that's all.
They're going to start. They're going to
We just
start
get
gentrifying it.
we're giving them the land and the property. We're getting their land and their property ready for them to come
Yep,
build on our side of town.
that's right.
Y'all don't need no stores. Y'all don't need this and that.
That's
We
why we
need
letting y'all
that
tear it
to
up.
build. Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Just like the Walmart situation, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's a lot of parents, it's a lot of people that can't afford to go to the one in Carencro, the one on Pinhook. Like it was walking distance for a lot of people. And
That's
y'all
right.
took that from us.
That's right.
Y'all took that. You know what I'm saying? But once again, that's our fault because at the end of the day, we got to get up and go out there and vote. Because
That's
when you
right.
have somebody that's strong enough, whoever was in office at that time would have tell them, "You're not taking it from my people."
Now let me tell now let's, because we're talking about voting, and this is good, because let's talk about
Right.
voter accessibility, because
Mm-hmm.
you talked about how the necessity of a Walmart to be so close to our people was important because they could walk there. It was easily accessible to people in the community. And I mean, you
Right.
saw it literally, people walking in and out, sometimes pushing baskets, borrowing
Right.
them, you know, they would return them when the
Right.
time
Right.
came, but they had access to have their groceries. Well, think about this. How many people actually have convenient access to go and vote in our
Right.
community? Because
Right.
I'm gonna just tell you, and I'm not ashamed of it because at the end of the day, I work hard for this community and it's a struggle every day. My vehicle is not even working right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can't afford to fix it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I didn't have people who support my ministry, who support what I do, and who, who love me enough to make sure I can get where I need to be, I wouldn't have access to go and vote.
Right.
So as much as I
Right.
do for the community, as much as I'm out working, as much as I'm doing, I know that there are people in our community who would love to be out, who would love to go and vote. And I'm sure probably forgot about it. Or I'm sure probably didn't have the means to go and actually go to the facility to vote. So why is it that we live in America, the United States of America in 2023, and we still don't have mail-in ballots in Louisiana?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why can't we mail
Mm-hmm.
in our vote? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
The
You're right about that.
the U.S. postal system is one of the greatest things to ever exist, right?
Yeah.
So why haven't we been using that to vote? Because we don't want people with the least access to be able to have access to make change in their
Take control.
community.
Yep. Yep.
It's a
And I feel
system.
like that's where we stand up. And if you have a vehicle, like, and I know you say you don't have one, but myself, I have a vehicle, I got a third row, but I have to step up and pick up
Mm-hmm.
this one and pick up that one, and y'all
Yeah.
get in. We gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? We
Yes.
gonna go. You know what I'm,
Yes.
and I feel like, listen, I've been voting since I was 18. I voted and I voted. Don't even when I read the amendment, I don't even read them thing. I just and that's bad. That is bad because I feel like, yeah, I just need my sticker. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I feel
Right.
like the biggest the biggest change for me was when I actually voted for Obama and he became my president. I was so excited because I then felt like, oh my God, like my vote counted. Like I can't believe
Yeah.
we made history. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
as far as like the people in Lafayette, like that's why I should have been focused at. But we don't be focused. We be on what the world got going on. We don't never stop and think about what we have going on right here in our own little city. And that's a problem. That's a big problem because we didn't voted for I voted for Obama, but Obama don't know nothing about that yet. And then the people that I put in office are the people that won, you know what I'm saying, not doing nothing. And I'm sitting here complaining, but then I was a part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, I just feel like it's a lot. You have to learn, and of course I've been sitting down. I've been trying to Google things. The importance of voting. But
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like our youth, if you 18 years or older, this is your chance. We have
That's
to be
right.
the change. We have to be the change. Like this
Yes.
is our generation. This is our future. This is your kids' future. Mama, daddy, mama, papa, they did what they had to do.
That's right.
They did what they had to do. So now it's time for us to step up.
Mm-hmm. And
And
listen.
just like, the killings. We had two killings on Juneteenth. On Juneteenth, a day, and it was crazy. Let me tell you my experience on Juneteenth. I'm in Super One, and it's this older Caucasian lady, and I'm talking to my neighbor in Super One. We're on the aisle, and she comes and she doesn't say excuse me. She's basically just staring me down, like to say, "You gonna get out my way," and I didn't move because today my day. Them days
That's
over
right.
with. Them days over with, ma'am. And
That's right.
listen, I respect my elders. My
Yes.
mama raised me to respect my elders, but at some point, you gotta let them know it's boundaries, baby. And listen, you're not disrespecting me, not especially not today.
That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? So I didn't move. I look at her like what? She didn't say nothing. She didn't open her mouth. And I stayed there 5 extra minutes. And my friend was like, man, what's she doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm guessing she want to get right here. But she don't want to say excuse me, which
Mm.
that's all it takes.
That
But
pride.
because it's our day, and
Yeah.
she knows she's upset deep down inside because they made that a national holiday. Her heart burning from that, which it ain't doing her no justice because probably her grandchildren or her granddaughter somewhere with one of my people. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, ma'am, excuse me, it's for everybody. I don't look at color. I got friends that's Caucasian.
That's
I don't
right.
look at color. So, but you still have people in this world like that today. You
Yeah.
still have people in this world like that, and that's a lot of fear for me having kids. You know,
Right. Right. And you know what's
but
probably we're probably upset at too, is like bringing it back to locally on
uh-huh.
the week before Juneteenth or the week coming up to Juneteenth, there was a flag raising that the mayor took part in. Actually, he actually made Juneteenth a Lafayette holiday. I think 2 years ago, if not last year, before it became a national holiday. So you know, while I've been very hard on this administration, and I have no shame in saying it, I will continue to hold them accountable because our
Right.
people have been under attack since they took office. There have
Yeah.
been efforts to, you know, to right those wrongs and acknowledge in those times when at least the effort is made, right? So and because I know that that stuff like that happens, right?
Yes.
People take that offense and they get upset and they just angry. And so when they see black
Mm-hmm.
people in public, they choose that opportunity to be rude and arrogant
Mm-hmm.
because they're upset
Mm-hmm.
about what's happening in their city. And trust
Right.
me when I tell you, they are aware of what's happening in the city, and we are not as aware, and that's where it becomes a problem.
Exactly. And listen, I didn't change so much, and nothing or no one can bring me
Mm-hmm.
back to who I
Yes,
was and where I was before. So back in the day, the old me probably would have checked her loud and make her scene, but do that for what? When all I gotta do is stand in
exactly.
silence. You ain't come and move me, and I'm gonna move when I'm ready. So I stayed an
That's right.
extra 5 minutes, and when she and then I moved and I said, all it took was an excuse me. And
That's
listen,
it.
she turned so red. She
Because she
turned
was
so
guilty.
red. Yes, and I'm like, listen, today I did, man. I said, happy holiday. Oh, that pissed her off even more. But I guess she wanted me to act the donkey and the fool in Super One with her
Right,
so she
right.
can make a scene and they gave him this
Call
holiday.
911.
Look how they acting. I'm not that person. I'm not that person.
Yes,
But
yes.
it's just scary because like I said, I got kids and I'm scared that, I'm sure they're gonna still go through that. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I'm teaching my kids is how to control that, how to handle those
Mm-hmm.
situations. When the cops stop you, whether you right or wrong, pick up your hands.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you gotta do.
That's it. Yeah,
That's all you
yeah,
gotta do.
yeah.
That's all
You
you
know,
have to do.
people have to understand we are at war right now, and the thing
Yes.
about war is to survive. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we of course we are tired, so tired of having to deal with case after case of
Mm-hmm.
police murders here in the city of Lafayette.
Yeah,
So let this be a should I say, a black power warning or alert
exactly.
to the citizens of Lafayette, to the black citizens of Lafayette. We are at
Mm-hmm.
war, and we are
Mm-hmm.
the casualty.
Yep.
Urge your children to be mindful when they're interacting with police, to not make sudden moves, to make it clear that they're not a threat, to do everything in their power to survive. But I
Exactly.
must admit in that warning that even that does not 100% guarantee that your child will leave that experience alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, right now, there seems to be no limit
Right.
or there seems to be no bottom as to what they can do. And of course, that is added on to the, as you mentioned earlier, the issue that we're dealing um, with the violence in our community. You know what I'm saying? Which
Mm-hmm.
is outrageous right now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I urge the community to understand that all of these things are is a result of
Mm-hmm.
issues that if we don't fix those issues, we can't, it's no use in even continuing to talk about the problem. And what I mean by
Exactly.
issues is, I mean, the issues that can be fixed at a vote, at a voting booth. And I'm not saying this to be cliche. I'm saying it because it's realistic, and I'm not talking about the presidential election. As you said earlier, it's about getting to the local election, finding out who's running for mayor, finding out
Yep.
who's running for city council, finding
Yep.
out what they have done, what is their history. And let me say this: I want to be unequivocally clear that anybody that is running for council deserves to be looked at. While I support who I support and I stand by who I stand by, make your conscious decision based on the issues that matter to you. The
Right.
values that matter to you in your life and your family. What do you want your family to look like in 5 years? That's how you need to be
Exactly.
thinking in the next upcoming months. Again, we are at war, and we have to
Mhm.
be urgent and diligent. People would tell me probably that I should stay out of it and do something else. Because use your platform to go sing or go act or something, and I will do those things, right? But
Mhm.
I will continue to engage in our community. I will not stop fighting, because at the end of the day, I recognize when the biggest trick that has been played on our people is to believe that voting is not necessary or effective in our communities. And guess
Yes.
what? The result of that is the hood looks worse than it's ever looked before. More
Yes.
violence in our communities than we've ever seen before. Young people
Yes.
losing respect for their mothers and their fathers. The system interfering and infiltrating our homes more than it ever has. Um,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and and taking and separating the family unit.
Mhm.
And let us
Mhm.
never forget, as we talk about God being taken out of the church, God being taken out of the home, let us never forget that we must make sure that we are attending churches that have God in them. Number one, if you believe in
Exactly.
God and you go to church, make sure your church got God dwelling there. And I'm not talking about the God with the little G, okay, like your pastor sometimes, like we make of gods, right? I'm talking
Okay.
about somebody who I'm talking about, the
Preach.
real God, the one who has
Okay.
who has been there before you ever went to a church. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's make sure that we have God in our homes, right? I've
Right.
been preaching. God has been in my spirit that scripture that says, if my people which are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, seek my face, and I might be getting it all mixed up, but essentially it says, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and then will I heal the land. We have
Yes.
to turn from our
Yes.
ways. We have
Yes.
to humble ourselves. And then the Bible
Mhm.
says that my people perish for a lack of knowledge. We perish and we die because we don't get the understanding. We don't go do the research like you said you've been doing. We don't do all of those
Yes.
things that are necessary to fill up our minds with what is and what we need to have in order to make a rational decision. How you gonna make a
Exactly.
decision with nothing?
Right. Right. And like I said, most people do it just to get that sticker, but what did you do? Who you voted for? When you're asked, well, who you voted for? Well, I don't know. You
All
know,
those
what you
amendments,
yes,
those
I'm a
amendments that
member.
be on there.
Listen,
Uh-huh.
yes. I
Because
just
I'm
be
guilty too. I'd be like, I'm not
that's
no
too
more, but
long to read. And
right,
then when they come up, my mother-in-law, she'd be like, no, I know you didn't do that. Girl, why you? I'd be like, oh man, sorry,
right. Like I didn't
sorry.
know. I just
But
voted
it's
Democrat, right?
yes, that's it. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
But
We got, we all guilty of it, and it's a
yes,
learning process.
it
But I'll
is.
say this: I'm now partnering with, and I think it's okay for me to say that. Well, it's been publicly announced with Black Voters Matter.
Okay.
We have a region of 8 parishes, and we will be building a coalition called the Southwest Division, Youth Division for Black Voters Matter. And so we're getting ready to travel and to tour the state of Louisiana, even planning a trip to Washington D.C. To
Wow.
engage young people here in the city, but also mainly in the outskirts, right? So in the Cairo,
Yes.
Scott, Youngsville,
Yes.
all of those outskirts of Lafayette, to engage those young people in the issues facing, our region. And I think that as many young people, that can possibly come would engage in that, I think that would be extremely important, because we have
Yes.
to really get them involved in what's happening. And the trick is also to start educating them before they become of
Mm-hmm.
age to vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're trying
Mm-hmm.
to get into high schools, we're trying to get into middle schools. We're going to be doing a camp called Camp Impact with my church. We have 40 churches that my bishop oversees throughout the state of
Okay.
Louisiana. They're all coming into Lafayette July 17th through the 21st. And we're going to have a camp all that week. You ever heard of Karen Clark Sheard, the gospel singer?
No.
Well, she's
No.
a very famous gospel singer, and she's also the first lady of our international church. And so
Okay.
she's coming in town that Monday night doing a concert then. So we're going to have a camp all week called Camp Impact for children from, I think, like the age of 5 all the way up to 17 and young adults as well. And it'll be free to all of those in the community. The city of Lafayette and the surrounding areas, they just have to register online. It is on the
Okay.
LCG website as well, and it's going to be at Hyman Rec Center. So anybody that registers can come and participate in this. Is leadership focused, of course, spiritually based, but
Mhm.
we want to prepare young leaders,
Right.
and then we will have the Village 337. My organization will have a camp in I believe the first weekend of August. So and that'll be another leadership camp as well. So we want to really engage the young people in Lafayette, especially as we prepare for this, so that way they can also educate their parents. Because let's be real,
Yes.
in the generation that we live in, a lot of times young people are coming home and educating their parents on issues. So
Yes.
that's what we're
Yes.
trying to do. So we
Yes.
could
That's
we could use
awesome.
all the help in the world from all of you influencers
Listen, I'll
and
be
people in the
there.
community.
I could
Yes.
definitely be there. I actually I'm a parishioner at St. Anthony Catholic Church.
Okay.
I know y'all just had the night out there a couple of weeks
Yes.
ago.
Yes. It was awesome.
I actually sing there. I sing.
Wow.
So I do
Okay.
sing. Yes, I do sing.
Okay.
Um, and my kids, my boys are some altar servers.
I
All my
love it.
children are involved, and actually,
I
they
love
are
it.
going to. My two oldest boys are going to Washington. They're with the church.
Yes, because I know they're
With the
going soon, right?
yes, yes, they're
That same
going.
week of the camp.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
So
Yep.
and that's big. And like I said, like I'm blessed because once again, they're not a statistic. They're not out in the
Right.
streets, but it all starts at home. So, and
That's
you
right.
have to have a village. And
Yeah. Ooh.
I'm thankful, because I have my mother-in-law, I have my mama, I have my husband, their mom. Like,
Yes.
it takes a village, you know what I'm saying? So, without that village, you ain't got a backbone. You know what I'm
Listen.
saying? So, like I said, my biggest thing is I'm definitely my next goal is I want to reach out to these kids. Like I just want to reach out to young girls, let them know, like, because I had started having my kids young, so I need to open up to them and then
Yeah.
try to get some positive men to get these young men off the streets. Like
That's
I
right.
need somebody to get these parents in check because listen, it be the parents
That's
too.
right.
It's not just the kids.
That's
It be
right.
the parents too, because listen, if you know your son is on Instagram or your daughter on Instagram and Facebook and they got pictures with a gun and you see it because it's publicly, and I'm sure
That's
y'all
right.
friends, then mama, daddy, y'all issue too.
That's
It
right.
issue too. You guys to get it
Auntie,
together.
uncle, cousin, older cousin. We all
Y'all
the
are the
like you said, we
issue.
the village. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it takes a
Yeah.
village, and I feel like this is how I feel. This is my opinion. I feel like the Caucasians are putting this in our babies' hands. They putting the guns because what they doing is they leaving their cars unlocked. They're leaving their houses open because they know that our babies gonna go out there and get it. They going to see who car unlocked. They going to pull on that, but they don't have the mind. Their mind is not strong enough to know right from wrong yet. You know what I'm saying? So
Remember the
that's
crack
they're
epidemic?
putting it in our hands to kill each other. You know?
Remember the crack epidemic?
Yep. Yes.
Our
Yes.
people should never forget. There will always, anytime there's something of mass destruction. Think about
Mhm.
COVID-19. Who did it affect the most? Why did it affect us the most? Because we
Us.
had the most health issues. Why do we have? We don't just have the most health issues because we black now. We have the
Right.
most health issues because we eat the worst food, because that's what's available to us, because that's what they give us, that's what they put in our communities. That's what, and again, these are people that we vote for
Yep. Yep.
or don't vote for, you
Yep.
know. And here's what
Listen.
I always want to remind people of too. When you, even if you don't feel like you want to vote for somebody, if you don't, if, you need to register to vote. And the reason why is because if you feel at some point, well, you know what, I didn't vote for that person, but they're so horrible of a politician that we need to be able to recall them. The only way that you can sign a recall petition is if you're a registered voter.
Okay, now let's talk. And then
So
felons, y'all don't have no excuses. Y'all
that's
got
right.
no excuses.
That's right.
None.
That's right.
If I would have been the first one walking in there with my head up, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Y'all,
Let
we
me tell
need it.
you, there's a fight. There's an organization called Vote here in Lafayette. You guys should look them up. If you're a convicted felon, if you're someone who believes that you don't have your right to vote, please, I would definitely urge you to look them up. Or Consuela Gaines, her story is amazing. Their organization is amazing. They focus on making sure that convicted felons can reobtain their right to vote. And so, because we got to remember, even when a law is passed, there's still going to be municipalities and entities that
Mm-hmm.
will try to. Because how do we know that that's true? Well, we got to look at
Right.
history.
Right.
Juneteenth.
Yep.
Why is
Yes, sir.
Juneteenth even a thing? Juneteenth
Mm-hmm.
exists because of the fact that when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, there were 2.5 years after it was signed, there were still slaves in Galveston who did not know that
Yep.
they were free.
1958. Yes, sir.
So so
Yes.
we have to understand that just because a law is passed, or just because there are things that work in our favor, that like I tell people, I'm not necessarily a fan of the buyback gun policy things and all of that. Why? Because, well, our people gonna go and give their guns back, and then all of a sudden there's supposed to be one segment of America with guns and the others not with
Right.
guns.
Right.
Because
Right.
that
Yeah.
wouldn't be very wise either. And I'm not
Mm-mm.
going to get into too much of that, but I would urge
Mm-hmm.
our community to be very, we have to. The thing about guns is that people have to be educated on how to use them.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be educated on when it's proper to use them, and then we have
Exactly.
to consider what type of guns we obviously putting out into the world. But I'm not
Mhm.
a fan of taking guns from Black people and not nobody else.
Exactly. It worked two ways.
Exactly.
Two ways. Because listen, the way people is, just like that lady went knock on her door, on that white lady door, and her child tablet, and never made it back home. And
Yep.
that's my biggest fear. Like me
Yep.
knocking on somebody's Caucasian door and not never making it back home. That's a
Yeah.
problem.
That
That is a
is.
problem. So
That
I
is.
mean, we definitely have to stay educated. We definitely have to get.
Yes.
We need everybody out there to vote. We need it.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
that's our kids' future. That's our kids' future. Their kids'
Hmm.
future. Like if you don't go do it when they start having kids, what can they teach their kids? You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
You have to be the leader. You have to be the leader. And when it's too late and you mad because this not being done, or like groceries going up, which we can't stop that, but listen, it's just the one had when everybody that's complaining, did y'all go out there and vote? You know what I'm saying? Like we have to get out there and vote. We can't just continue to stay home and cry but listen, nothing like Pinhook. We got an issue with Pinhook right now with the roads.
Hmm. Yep.
Like
The
it's
Evangeline
ridiculous.
Thruway. Somebody was killed today on the Evangeline Thruway. You know,
Yes.
and again,
Yes.
like you said, we have to not only go out and vote right, but also determine what, as a community, what we want from these
Yeah.
politicians. That way, we can hold them accountable to it, and and
Exactly.
and not let them come tell us, well, this is what I'm going to do for you. No,
Uh-huh.
this is what we want. Now, who can do this?
Yeah.
That's how it should
Yes.
be as a
Yes.
community. This is what we want. Now, who can accomplish this?
Yeah. And it's sad because you actually driving on the south side, and Johnson Street has, the bicycle lanes, and
Yep.
when you actually look on our side of town, we don't have that.
Nope.
We do not have nothing for our pedestrians. And listen, most of the pedestrians are actually walking on our side of town more than they
That's
doing
right.
on the south side. The
That's
south
right.
side is full
100%.
of businesses. The south side is people with cars. The you barely they sitting there catching the bus. I don't see
Yep.
nobody just walking up and down. But on the north
No.
side, that's where everybody walking at. And you don't
That's
have
right.
nothing to protect these people. But once again, it starts with us. If we ain't pushing the movement, I ain't gotta move
That's right.
nowhere.
That's
You
right.
feel me? I ain't gotta move nowhere because y'all ain't complaining enough for it. Y'all don't care.
That's right.
Y'all don't care.
Let me tell you, I adopted this phrase. It's not a moment; it's a movement because I realized how our community and I heard it from somewhere. I don't want people to ever think that this now for the love of Black people. That's me.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
this I heard it from somewhere, and I was like, our people are so like we think in the moment and we operate and do everything in the moment.
Yes.
We want instant gratification.
Yes.
We
Yes.
only are concerned about what's going to happen right now. We
Right
don't
now.
move with urgency based on what's going to happen 5 years from now. We only move with
Yes.
urgency based on what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. And
Mm-hmm.
the problem with that is that life doesn't work like that. Nothing in
Mm-mm.
life that ever has any value comes quickly. And
Right.
so the biggest thing that has come out of our most recent town halls is that most of the movements that have ever been started lack sustainability. So what do we have to do? We have to be sustainable. And I believe that this is why God gave me that all those years ago was that we have to consider everything that we do and everything that we do, we have to consider the movement, right?
Yes.
Not the moment, the movement.
Right.
Even in the moment, I have to make decisions based on the movement.
Yes. You have to like that's just basically like, life insurance.
Yes,
We sit
yes,
here and we think that it's a joke. And
that's
when the
right.
time comes, we have to raise money here, we have to raise money there. And listen, them Caucasians are smart because they sit up there and they ain't paying us some $500,000 policies. That's how they making it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they setting their babies up. They know what they doing. And just like they sitting up here and listen, they let their grandparents adopt. They let their parents adopt their child. So when something happens to my mom or papa, y'all, they got my child. That's for them.
right.
It's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep going. The minute we think like that, is oh she can't raise her child, or oh she just giving her child away, and not thinking the bigger. It's a bigger picture. It's a
That's right.
bigger picture. They know how to keep it going. They know how to keep the money going, how to keep the assets going. They know how to do that. But that's another thing. If we can just break out of, my heart goes out to the submarine that, they
Yes.
found or what happened. But it's crazy because my prayers goes out to them, but it's just something shaky about the whole story.
Yeah, I
My
heard
thing
today.
is,
I think it's been confirmed that
yeah,
the
it
submarine
exploded.
imploded. Yeah,
Right.
so those people are definitely deceased.
Yes. And I look at it like this. One of them was he was inventing something, and of course, just like the guy that was inventing you remember the water engine, the black guy that was killed in the mass shooting in Buffalo.
Oh
He was a
wow.
cop. He
Yes,
got
yes.
killed in a mass shooting. Dr. CB,
Mm-hmm.
he was finding a cure
Yep.
for cancer, and he died. And it's just basically if you up there, and you letting the world know. And I feel like what happened was if they would have come back up, then more billionaires would have want to go down and see what, oh, they made it, so let's go down and let's
Mhm.
go, you know what I'm saying? And the world didn't want that to happen. The government didn't want that to happen. You
See,
see what I'm
with that,
saying? So
I did a little. So I did a little research on that, and what
uh-huh.
happened was, so the guy, the president and vice president was the actual owners of that ship itself. So
Gotcha.
they actually invented that ship,
Wow.
but they never actually put it through
To get
any type of
approved, right?
regulatorial. So, they basically,
Mm-hmm.
that what I think what it proves to us is what happens when you're privileged with a lot of money and
Yep.
you don't have to go through the process. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? Because what happened was, I mean, yes, they were billionaires, but I don't want people, I don't, we got to remember these were scientists and people who were explorers, right? Or people, I don't know
Right.
if they were scientists, but they were explorers. And that was
Right.
basically, that's their life's work. So them
Uh-huh.
dying in that explosion, yes, it's sad because we rarely hear of that. But it also
Right.
too is kind of, that's that's how they would have wanted to go if they ever had a choice. I mean, I would think. But
Right.
the reality of it is they understood the risk because they didn't get it approved. There
Mm-hmm.
are other
Mm-hmm.
submarines that are approved and that went through the process, but there were also people who were supposed to go on the trip who pulled out because of safety concerns.
Wow.
Got the deposit back because they said that the
Wow.
company, they said when you put so much money on a trip like that or on those types of excursions, the company is supposed to meet milestones, and then you pay every time they meet a milestone, you pay so much towards the trip, so that way
Right.
that they're gonna do it. But he said they kept missing milestones, like with the safety requirements and all of that. It just he
Wow.
felt it wasn't safe. So I think that they wanted to go and be the first to explore that portion, or to go and find whatever they wanted to find, but they didn't make it. But I think the lesson for us to learn is that no matter how much money you have, we cannot defeat God's creation. Number one,
Right.
and number two, we have to money should never give you the ability to to be above the law.
Right.
We live in a country where regulations exist,
And money talks,
where
so
the money does talk. Money
money
talks,
talks.
and it shows what happens when money talks too loud.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And my thing
Because
is, a
this
lot
money
of
affected
people,
some rich white men.
yes. And a lot of people is upset in our community as Black people, and I can understand. Like, listen, first of all, not everybody was raised the same way, so not everybody have the same type of heart.
Right,
People go, we from Louisiana, so people gonna make jokes here and there, and a lot of jokes was being cracked up about it. Yes, some people lost their lives, but you can't make nobody feel no type of way because listen, all I'm asking is that when it's somebody on our side, you have that same energy. Like y'all break down and y'all feel hurt about it. We still got Ella that's missing, and she like nobody ever posted her again. Like her family posts her every day. But this is 5 men that don't give a damn about us. Even if they had to take care of us, and if they did give a damn, I mean, they billionaires. It's a lot of children that's missing. It's a lot of children. It's a lot of people that we're in a recession right now. Why y'all didn't try to send that money? But then again, there's people that don't care about us, and we got somebody right here in Lafayette that has been missing, and we never ever posted her, or we never went out and looked and try to set up this and that. I don't care. I don't care if it's a year from now. Every weekend, nobody said let's still go out there and look for her. We have
right.
to have that same energy when it comes to us. You
That's
see,
it.
if that was us, if that was
Right.
us enough, first of all, we know better than to play with water. But if that was some rich people like us in
Right.
them 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 Negroes knew better than that. I don't know what they. It would have
Well,
been all type of
can I say this?
unnecessary
I
stuff,
don't believe that they would have been able to put an unregulated
hmm
submarine. I don't
and they
think
wouldn't
five
have.
black
You're
people would have
right.
been able to put an unregulated submarine to the bottom of the ocean. I don't
You're
think the
right.
law would
You're
have allowed
right.
that. That just goes to show that the difference, But
Yes.
again, I can't make that assumption because I guess that has never happened, right? But at the same,
Right.
but let's just based on what we know in American history, that just doesn't happen, And five white
Mm-mm.
men being killed in that situation, unfortunately, is sad. But you're right. we have become so desensitized to death because we see it every day. We
Mm-hmm.
see our people slaughtered on the streets, and nobody cares
Mm-hmm.
enough about it to do anything about it. We see, and you know, because it just hit my spirit. One of the things that bothers me the most is when, you know, our some people in other generations, they hit me with the line, well, what about black on black crime?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, here's the thing: black people don't kill black people because they're black.
Right.
Like, it's proximity.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
crime happens in communities because people deal with each other in close proximity. If
Exactly.
black people were more fluent and had more money and had more things to do
To do.
than to
Yes.
engage with each other all day long and to have conflict and to have access to guns, then guess what? There will be less crime.
Exactly.
So when they
Exactly.
hit me with that, well, what about, like, because black people, we have an us problem. Well, America has a problem, and America
Yes.
has always had a problem. America has had a problem since they enslaved us. America has had a problem since they implemented the new Jim Crow. America has
Yep.
had a problem since the Civil Rights Movement, and America has it
Mm-hmm.
still has a problem. They literally took to the Capitol and was trying to behead their former vice president, who was, by the way, Republican, because he was going to certify the election.
Mm-hmm.
That happened in the last election. Like, I don't know if our people are awake.
Right.
Like, you know, when they want to behead their own,
Yep.
what do you
Yep.
think they want to do to you? And they live next door to you.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we have to understand that everything that has happened to us, and it's not to make an excuse, because we have a responsibility to Rosa
Mm-hmm.
Parks out people, right? Like,
Yep.
Rosa didn't use the excuse that all of these issues were what they were, so she wasn't going to do nothing about it. But she also didn't hide from it. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't kiss up to the slave master,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Mm-hmm.
blame her people for their own oppression.
Exactly.
So we have to be careful
Exactly.
of that, you know, because you can't try to heal the community while tearing it down and tarnishing at the same time.
Exactly.
The community is hurting. The murder that we see, the devastation that we see, everything that we see is because of a result of systemic oppression, racism,
Mm-hmm.
economic inequality,
Yep.
redlining. I mean, I read a law to my students just right before school ended that stated, and it's still in existence, that showed where laws were put in place to redline people in Louisiana. So the hoods that exist, the hood, the ghetto, they exist on purpose.
Mm-hmm. It's a purpose. Everything is a
Yeah,
purpose. But
yeah,
you can make that, you can make that change. You know what I'm saying? And
yes,
listen,
yes,
I'm gonna end with this. Listen, anybody can make it out the hood.
yes,
And just like Caucasians use the system, we just have to be mindful on how to use it as well, because they
yes.
use it up. And
That's
that's
right.
exactly what I did. I
That's
used it.
right.
Listen, I sat down. I went into a housing when I was young. Went to a housing, got a good job, because you're not about to just sit up here and put me in critical condition, thinking you can tell me who can come in my house, who can live in my house, who can sleep on my
Come on
in my
now.
bed, who I can feed. No, I am not your child. I got a
That's
mama,
right.
I got a daddy. So you're not
That's
about
right.
to put me in critical condition. And what we're gonna do is, listen, I'm gonna sit up here, go to school. While I'm in school, I'm gonna pay this little $10, $11 rent. And then once I get where I need to be, then listen, once I'm done with school, I'm gonna look for a good job. And that's what I did. And after that, listen,
Yeah.
move into a rent home where I pay rent, save what I had to save my income taxes, and I end up buying my house. That's all you have to do. You
Yes.
have to outdo the system. Stop letting
That's right.
the system outdo us. Because
That's right.
anybody
That's
can
right.
do it. Anybody
That's
can
right.
do it. Just like they beating it, we can beat it too. They don't have that power.
That's
That
right.
power
Listen,
is no longer there.
you just did what is the most important thing, and what I tell our people: if we're gonna get out of this, we have to educate our people. And that is
Yes.
just that nugget right there. You don't know how many women that could help, how many men that could help, single men that could help
Yes.
on how to get out of it. We
Yes.
just have to be willing to put in the work. And I'm proud of you
Yes.
for doing that. You know,
Yes.
and I
Listen.
will I guess I'll end with saying too that even for those that are still in the hood, there's hope to even make the hood a better place to be. Like
Yes.
we can make the hood a better place to live. We can refurbish the
Mhm.
homes that are there. You know what I'm saying? We can
Yes.
go and take those blighted properties and put community resource buildings there, and put food
Yep.
pantries there, and put things there for our people.
Exactly.
Just accessibility for our community to look better, to be better, and for those that leave, they can come back when they come visit mama, and when they come visit their aunties and uncles, they don't have to feel
Exactly.
like sad when they leave because of what they're leaving them in.
And listen, we can start breaking down all them Family Dollars and Dollar Generals because that makes it a hood. When we go somewhere and we see a Family Dollar or Dollar General out of state, we know we in the
Hello,
hood.
you're in
We
the hood.
know
That's
we in
right.
the hood. So
That's
all
right.
that on every corner and every block on the north side, we don't need that. Send us
Mm-mm.
a Costco, send us a
Come on now.
Walmart, send us a Sam's. You hear
That's
me?
right.
Send us what y'all got on that side of town. Because y'all
That's
ain't
right.
got a
Give us
lot of
some more
Family
mom and
Dollars
pop
on that
grocery
side.
stores.
Okay, that's all. That's all we
That's
need. So
black owned.
listen, yes, yes. This is not gonna be our last interview. I
Yes.
definitely appreciate you once again. I thank you so much for
Thank
everything
you.
that you're doing in our community. If you need me, I'm here. I promise you. You need me to come and you need me to do this. I've been trying to learn how to write my own music, so maybe you can help me out with that.
Yes, we could.
But
Yes, we could work together.
yes, I'm here. I'm here. And it takes a village once again.
It
So
does.
once again, it's your girl Raven with the real and the raw. Until next time, peace.